Okay, guys, thanks for coming. Thanks for coming to the stream. Thanks for showing up. And I'm excited to be looking at this X Force comic. This is X Force number one, released in 1991, sold over 5 million copies, the second most sold copy in America. Let's be specific, right? In America. And basically created this line was created by Rob Liefeld. Um, actually, it's I said it's Liefeld, Rob Liefeld. That's the right way to pronounce it. Created by Rob Liefeld, and it was a bonkers time, right? We're talking 1991. We had an emergence of some really great fantastic artists that came in right after the heels of some incredible and powerful 80s artists. Let's not forget that the reason why they're so good is because they had their influences coming into the game, right? The same way like these guys, Layfield, McFarlane, Jim Lee, um, um, Mark Silvestri, Texera, which was one of my favorites as well. These guys were doing their thing, so they influenced me, and they had their influences, right? So we're talking about Rob Layfield now. So what I want to be specific about is Rob Layfield and his influences. From what I've heard and from what I've seen, Rob Layfield's influences were basically GI Joe toys. Arthur Adams. Arthur Adams was a major influence on these guys and on him. Everything from the way he drew to his character designs and the way he would present his character designs influenced Rob Layfield. And he was a very young guy. And as a matter of fact, the only guy that I recall that was actually on TV and was on and was in a Levi's commercial, right? And the Levi's commercial directed by Spike Lee. Okay, important facts. Yep. Adams art, very cool. Author Adams art is incredible. I mean his run when he did the Fantastic Four, which had Wolverine, Hulk, Spider Man, and Ghost Rider. That was such an awesome run. I think there was like 4 issues maybe that Arthur Adams did. Yeah, and he was influential. He influenced all these guys, McFarlane, Liefeld, Jim Lee. All those guys looked up to him. Jim Lee was kind of like on his own path right away with the way he drew his anatomy and such. But I would say Layfield and McFarlane definitely borrowed heavily from Arthur Adams, heavily. Also another influence on Layfield is George Perez. Late 70s, 80s artist. Um, George Perez and Mark Wolfman had a legendary run for Teen Titans for DC Comics. I mean, their run was legendary, and George Perez's command of the page, the panels, and storytelling is incredible. To the point where he was influential, the way by the way he broke panels down and put so much in a panel, put so much in backgrounds. Perez is a legend. Perez is a legend, and that's one of the people. So we're talking about the people who have influenced Liefeld. That I just know off the top of my head and that I've heard. I'm sure there's plenty of other artists that are influenced on him as well. I mean, you've had some incredible people like Mike Zeck, that he was just killing it. Um, then you had obviously the Neo Adams, the Bushima, come on, John Bushima. So all these people are the main influences, one of the many influences on him, right? So we're talking about Layfield. Okay, so by 19 years old, I believe he was already a professional. working, got the work or got the okay. Started working on Hawk and Dove over at on DC. I never read those comics, um, but they pretty much are what put him over. After he did that stuff, Marvel was interested in him, and they called him over. So as far as Layfield goes, he actually Liefeld, he actually went over to Marvel to start working on the New Mutants. And according to Liefeld, he took on the New Mutants because it was like a dying comic. Not much was going on there, so he couldn't make it any worse. So he actually tried to make it better, and it did get better. He went on there, sales started going up. I was already collecting New Mutants, only because when I was a kid, personally, again we're going biographical to me. um, I inherited a bunch of comics. I remember a friend of a friend's family member or something. He was getting rid of a bunch of comics. He didn't like. He took like almost all the DC stuff, and he didn't like a lot of the Marvel stuff. So I took the whole crate. I'm like, I'll take this all, and then that had a lot of X-Men comics, um, New Mutants, and that's how I started. And then once I was buying a lot of GI Joe comics as a kid, so inheriting those, I actually took those in, and I wanted to continue reading them because I thought they were really cool. So at that point, I had a bunch of New Mutants comics, and I was collecting them. And then uh, Liefeld shows up, and he starts owning it, man. He starts owning it. The stuff he was doing. Remember, he wasn't just drawing; he was also doing the story. So that's pretty important, you know. And it's actually important to really understand, how much work he was doing, right? So would like to read Rob's Hawk and Dove. Never had them. Yeah, I never had them. I never got to read them. Um, yeah, I like to read them sometime. And actually, I'd like to even just look through them, just so I can see early Liefeld, right? So basically, after the New Mutants run, it's just escalating. It's just like getting better and better. And I think he did a smart move of wanting to add the X onto the title. It's the same book, except let's you know change the title. And he, of course, introduced. We know in the New Mutants, he actually introduced Cable. He introduced Deadpool. Actually, more characters than that. Feral, also Shatterstar, and also Domino, and Strife, and a bunch of other characters too that probably aren't even as popular. So anyway, what ends up happening is that he ends up launching this X Force. So X Force is basically all him. He actually did the story. The writer just actually literally wrote the script, just wrote the words in the bubbles. He actually, a lot of this are his ideas, his machinations. So this is where we're at. I happen to own like, I think I counted 4 copies. I've had 4 copies, and for some reason I opened them all up and took out the trading card. I don't know what I did with the trading card, but I did something. But this is the original packaging. Original packaging, issue number 1, free trading card enclosed. I don't know what I did with the trading cards. I slit them all just like this. So in 1991, I was just a teenager, and we were eating this stuff up, guys. I mean, we were. I was taking my bus ride to the comic shop and buying these. And the cool thing about it, I'm telling you, the cool, exciting thing about it was that I was buying GI Joe because I love the figures. I thought the toys were awesome, and I love the comic. Legendary covers by Mike Zeck, and the action he created on those covers is incredible. But the coolest thing was that you would see a commercial drop. There'd be a commercial about the comic, such and such. This, like, the new Cobra Commander revealed. Actually, one particular issue I remember was Zanzibar, the newest Dreadnought revealed, and Zanzibar was basically he had an eye patch, he had like a long ponytail, and he was actually, he liked GI Joe, so most likely he got that ponytail that he created. He put on those characters from Zanzibar. So this Zanzibar was revealed, and then the cover had Duke and Zanzibar, and I got on the bus that Saturday morning, went to the comic shop and bought it. And that's just a quick side story. So that was the coolest part about buying comics. So I think that drive of commercials actually featuring comic books pushed a whole generation. That's gone away. You don't see anything like that. Even if they were to do that just for one book, it would help all book sales. That's what I believe. But anyway, so this kind of times it was, So when this came out, you know, everybody I know bought, you know, 4 or 5 copies, if not double. They doubled up on everything. So does that mean the readership was that high? No, it just means that people were buying a lot more. But they legitimately wanted to buy more because of the speculation, because of like, hey, these comics are gonna be, worth something. That didn't materialize, but I've heard of people trying to defame Liefeld and just say, oh, there's like a million of them sitting in a warehouse somewhere. That's not fair to say. Everybody I know bought literally 4 or 8 copies. So X Force would have made a great cartoon. It would have. It has all the makings. X-Men did, but here we are. So without further ado, X Force #1. Rob Liefeld. Rob Liefeld. I mean, you see his signature all over the place here. I'll turn the page that way we don't get rid of this glare. All right, so we're on page 1 here. So I picked the page that was my favorite, and of course we know how the game works. Or how I want to do these reviews is I want to talk about the best single page, not double page spread or splash page, because those are purposely designed very, very well, because that's why they're double splash pages. That's why they're splash pages, because there's something big that they want to do. So that's why I like to eliminate that off of the list as far as the best page here. Okay. I mentioned George Perez as being one of his influences. This shot here has been brought to our attention that it is a bit I say of a George Perez swipe. A George Perez on one of the I believe it was the Teen Titan books, did a spread just like this. The angle's almost the same. The background has been changed, but the shot is the same. Some of the positions are similar, but so he kind of swiped this whole thing from a George Perez comic. But side by side, you'll see that there are a lot of differences. I don't think there's anything wrong with swiping an angle. He swiped an angle on the way the characters coming out, and he swiped it. It's pretty obvious, but he didn't copy it, figure for figure. He actually did his own designs on there. But you see it. This is definitely taken from a George Perez. So if you actually look up page swipe, maybe George Perez Liefeld page swipe, you'll actually see what the original looks like. Actually, why don't I do that now? So I mean, as far as the angle, there's similar angles. The layout's similar, but for the most part, I think it's a friendly swipe. I don't think he really did nothing much than just borrow the angle. Nothing wrong with that. New Teen Titans 830 number 39. Okay, cool. Yeah, so it's a legendary Mark Wolfman a run, but of course you see George Perez. This is George Perez. George Perez's command of human anatomy, perspective, characters. He can put a lot into a panel without even batting an eye. But of course, this is one of the guys he looked up to. I think it's interesting that they're fighting these guys and they're all green, and all these guys are green as well. So I mean, it's basically an homage, but you can see the influence right there. Playing homage, and there you have it. So I mean, that's just right off the bat. An interesting thing I want to note here is page layout. I don't know where this started. I think I'd like to see like who started this trend, but there's like artists of this era are designing pages and like leaving space, and then what they're doing to offset the space is creating these black boxes to kind of fill a void. Um, Man, comic pages, the real estate's too expensive and too important to do this kind of stuff. Personally, I feel at the time it was cool, and maybe because it was like looked at as like a big no no. Maybe that's why, being that it was the '90s, they felt like they can do that because I've seen Jim Lee do it, and I've seen Todd do it, and he does it as well. So he can't be the only one looked at as notorious for doing this type of thing. They're all doing this thing. Where did it start? I don't know. Most likely, if I look up enough Arthur Adams comics, maybe he did it first. Quite possibly. So that's just a comment I want to make there. So we'll flip through the comic just to take a look. The ads are awesome, or pretty hilarious. Um, Looking at, if you look at this screen, I mean, this is just exciting, guys. Whatever garbage you want to talk about Liefeld, sorry, it's Liefeld. You know, whatever. I mean, just look how exciting that looks. And these are flat colors. These aren't like even gradients or anything. These are flat colors, and it looks hot, right? Exciting, energetic. Yeah, yeah. He's cut some funky corners here, like this hand here. I, I I'm guessing this is the thumb. That's the pinky, but this thumb is looking really close. This thumb is looking a lot like that pinky. So sometimes you gotta watch out. You gotta watch out. But he was a young guy, man, killing it though. Oh, check it out, X Force. Spidey says, "Order now." Let's find out how much this would be. Let's see. Yeah, there it is. Layfield's 8-color X Force portrait on the back. The quality of this exclusive Marvel tee is guaranteed to blow you away at $10.95. The price will too. If you're not satisfied with your purchase for any reason, return it for a prompt refund. Nice. The supply is limited, so act now and order yours today. I wish I ordered these things as a kid. It was like impossible for me. No way I could have asked my parents for a money order and then get them to order this for me. I didn't have a bank account, so. Let's see, men's, small, medium, large, extra large, $10.95 plus $3 shipping and handling. $3, that's not bad, but when you think about it, it's only doubled in like 20, 30 years. 30 years, right? Interesting. Anyway, I digress. How many shirts do you have, George? Yeah, yeah. Unfortunately, I don't have any. I should have. So here we go. We're gonna browse through the comic pretty quickly. Again, this is a fun read. Pretty much the layout for what's gonna happen on X Force. Them dealing with the Mutant Liberation Front, which they are like hardcore terrorists, and basically making more problems for mutants. Here you go, just like again, the colors, the action. This is so funky. The multicolored background. Awesome shot of Domino. I'm telling you, man, he's doing it. He is doing it. I think for the most part, Layfield does just solid work. There's been too much criticism on him for no reason than I think just a lot of insider stuff was going on, and people were just people in the industry, key people in the industry didn't like him. So here we go. Look at this. Look at this. So actually, I learned this recently. I learned this recently by listening to one of Rob's podcasts, and they loved anchoring a figure, right? Anchoring a figure is when the figure is just huge and like sticking out. The reason why they did that is because first of all, It does add more drama to the page. People love seeing like a character drawn out. It's a basic human function to see a character full this big, drawn out, looking awesome. That's why we all love comics. But a secondary reason was that um, our buyer's market, people would actually pay up for pages that would feature a character so prominently, right? Like, look at this awesome Cannonball. I mean, if this page were for sale and you were a Cannonball fan, with him being full figure like that, you'd be excited to buy this page, right? Or Cable without all his pads on. Um, Again, I guess if anything, this is the kind of stuff that he's kind of kneeling and it doesn't look too natural. Some perspective is off there, and the lower body there. With this leg, it should be farther back and up higher. But again, it's still. Actually, this is kind of a odd stance here. Like if he's supposed to be in the stance, it looks like he's sitting on air. But again, he's still a young artist here. He's still a young artist, but he's freaking killing it. Look at these crosshatch backgrounds. You guys know I like to do that. Even today, if you do that a certain way, it brings a nice texture to your work. And remember, Rob was also inking his own work. He's penciling and inking his own work. He didn't have an inker. Not at this moment. Just some more action here. So here we go. This is the last page. We have this character, Bridge, his name is, right? I think it's actually Washington Bridge. Something like that. But, this was a big, at the time, it's time to call in Weapon X. We're like, what? Weapon X? What are you talking about? What? And then right here you have character profiles. Deadpool with a gun, a knife, and 2 swords in the back. And of course you see the pouches. Shatterstar, shoulder pad on one side, curtain on the other, and the ponytail. You see, a lot of his characters have this ponytail, and I'm telling you, Liefeld got this from Zanzibar, because Zanzibar was a really cool pirate-looking character in G.I. Joe. If you look up G.I. Joe, and I remember that commercial, and Zanzibar was in the comics, and they had a commercial for Zanzibar. So if I was just, oh man, like just a kid, he was an older, he was a teenager. So we saw the same ad, and I think that stuck with him, because ponytail. Because he makes Gideon, right? That character Gideon's got that same crazy ponytail, super long. And I'm pretty sure if I were to ask him, here goes Gideon. See the hair? I bet you Zanzibar was one of the characters that influenced that. Or he may not even realize it. Maybe if I ever meet him, I should bring my because I have the G.I. Joe toy. I should bring it, show it to him, and be like, hey, this guy look familiar? Right. Awesome job with the colors. I'm telling you, looking at this again, like as an adult artist, it's still exciting. I think for the most part, if I had to critique his style or criticize anything, it is the fact that he doesn't like to spend too much time with details. He doesn't like spending too much time with guns, buildings. He loves drawing characters. He loves drawing the characters, you can tell. But here goes my argument. He drew some buildings here, right? Manhattan, June 5th, 8:34 a.m. Look at this little shot of Manhattan. There's all right, Manhattan we know has rows and rows of buildings. There should have been at least another row of buildings in this box. At least another row of buildings. Okay, but again, he tries to avoid that stuff. This is a technique. I don't know if Jim Lee is guilty of it too. You don't just blame him. Jim Lee does the same thing. Instead of a huge establishing shot, they use a small panel with a bunch of information on there. Why? Because if you use that as an establishing shot, you don't have to draw in like a whole city. You know, you don't have to spend the day drawing a city. What you do is you spend the day drawing figures, and you know, like look at these mountaintops. I could actually feel. I could feel how he drew these mountains. Right. Case in point. Well, you'll probably see that. Actually, I think in the opening shot. Opening shot, characters. Opening shot of the vehicle. Look at this establishing shot. You're in the mountains. Generally, your establishing shot is bigger, so you can get a feeling of where you're at. But instead of wasting that real estate, they go small. Jim Lee does the same thing. So everybody who wants to attack Rob, you gotta attack Jim Lee for the same thing. Todd does it too. The Image Boys do it. So what I want to do is I want to get into detail my favorite page. Now, my favorite page, interestingly enough, is the page that has stuck with me. That when I think about this comic, sticks with me. So now looking at it again, I thought things would change, but it hasn't. So this page here, I guess this would be page 6, is still my favorite page. Back then, I looked at this page and stared at it, and I thought it was so gosh darn cool. I thought it was so awesome looking, and again, I still find it exciting. Still find this page exciting. You know, you got some awesome lettering. You know, lettering I really never paid much attention to. You know, I can't really say I'm a big fan of lettering, meaning that I love lettering and the way it looks on the page. But when it's done right, it's just some awesome lettering, right? When it's done wrong is when you notice it. When you're kind of like, oh, that text looks a little odd, right? So when you don't notice it and it just looks like it's complementing the art, the letterer did their job. The letterer did their job. As far as layout goes, I mean, you have, you know, this top shot here, and I guess the reason why I like it is because Cable takes up like Cable is the width of a goddamn truck. If you're walking next to Cable, you better get out of the way because he's gonna smash you into something. Because you like Cable can't walk down a hallway side to side with anybody. You'll both will get jammed. You can't walk side to side with Cable. All right, that's probably why Shatterstar is behind him and Feral is behind, on the other side. So again, I love the energy here. Then it cuts to the bad guys, basically the opponents, right? So you have the one side, bam. You have the other side, the guys are coming in. I forgot all their names. I don't remember their name. Oh, actually, it even says it right here. He introduces them. Forearm, Kamikaze, Wildside, and Reaper. Ooh, so dramatic. Okay, so loving this, right? So you have them, they have the opposing guys. Boom, shot of all the bad guys coming at them, right? Close shot of these two. Side by side, I guess he moved himself forward. He was in the back. Now he's moving forward. And then I guess I like the balance, right? They always say when you draw comics, a really good thing to do on the page is not keep everyone the same size, right? Unless it's very important, you know, or unless you know you're doing something with that. But for the most part, you want to change the sizes of the characters, angles, so on and so forth. So, because the coolest thing is you have this long little panel. It's almost like a whole sideways view of all the action. The group you have Forearm, and I don't know what this guy's name is. I guess he's Kamikaze. I don't know who this guy is. So you have these two coming in here, Shatterstar here. So now you get these little characters that coming right at each other, and I think this is pretty cool. You know, I mean, Cable's kneeling really low there, but you know, I think scale's a bit of an issue for Rob. Again, Rob is dope and everything, but scale's a little bit of an issue because right now Shatterstar is looking like he's taller and bigger than Cable. Even though Cable is kneeling, he's still mass-wise bigger than him. But again, it still looks awesome. You know, you got these cool little designs in the back. You know, just to show you where they're at. It almost looks like you see these things that's from Star Wars, right? A lot of the background panels they're normally white, and they have these I guess these would be not cylinders, but maybe oblong shapes, and circles there. Basically, yeah. So going on about this page, Um, Still one of my favorite pages. I think it's one of the strongest pages here. I guess maybe I just like the timing. This is a typical face-off, but it's exciting. You have group shot, them coming in, these two, making their adjustments, and then the action goes, and the action goes. But instead of like killing the page by just worrying about this action here, you kind of you dramatize this more. You know, Instinctually, I know what I now drawing drawing comics for a few years. I most likely on a page like this, most likely I would have concentrated on this action here. I probably would have made it a bigger panel, one angle, favoring maybe the bad guys or the good guys, depending, and just blown up that panel and like done a lot of detail there. And most likely these three other shots, I would have somehow truncated them, or made them a smaller panel up here, whatever, and then I would have sold this action bigger. But that's just the way I would do it. But then if I relay it out and looking at this actually works pretty cool. I just like it because tempo wise, right? Then you have just that you have all the action sideways. Jim Lee did this too. Actually, a lot of times when people would be talking or something, or there's like a lot of action going on, he would do stuff like this too. I think there was an issue where he had like Wolverine or something going against a bunch of ninjas. You know, you can see this kind of like strip, right? Strip of action. So yeah, I have to say a strong second for me. I'm gonna go to my would be this page here. But I think this page, I think is just the color I like most, the coloring work. You know, his skin has like one, two, three, four spot colors. Then you have some strong whites showing you highlights, but it comes off as skin. It comes off great. The face looks great right in here. Um, I guess I have to say I'd have to give this. The artwork looks great, of course, but I give it to the colorists. The colorists killed it on here. The way they separate the colors, gave you the oranges, the highlights where you need it on the skin. That skin tone is just spot on. You actually have like, I guess, a color terminator here. A color terminator is like when there's a shift in color, and there's this thing called the color terminator, and it's kind of like that in between the shadow in between the light. It's right there. It's the terminator. It's usually a strip somewhere. You have them a shot here, then you have a cool shot here, and then you've got a really nice close up here. And I think you guys see even on screen that this looks pretty exciting. This would be my second favorite page. So I mean, all in all, looking at this, you have to consider and talk about Rob Liefeld's strengths, and his strengths are layout. And when you know layout and you understand layout and energy, you like his work. If you get into the nitty gritty and nitpicking every single little anatomical angle and so on and so forth, that's another argument that anatomically he does take. He does take what I would call shortcuts. He does take his shortcuts due to quite possibly, maybe making it big too fast. There's stuff that he knows and he does, and what he doesn't know, he's gonna fake it. Which a lot of artists do that. We all do that until we actually really understand what's going on. Sometimes there's small details that you kind of draw, and then one day you draw this certain particular part in the anatomy or something, and you're like, oh, wait a second. And then you're like, man, this is actually what happens. That's his strength. Great layouts, great energy, visual storytelling. Yeah, you see what's going on. I mean, he's great at action. He definitely doesn't do too much talking, talking, but the action is great, and it's where it needs to be. I mean, Domino right here looks stunning, and I'm sure the original page for this would probably go for a lot of moolah. I do have to say, This page looks really awesome too, although it's not full color, and that's probably because since they're on the interior of a ship, you know, this is Rob Liefeld just breaking in, flexing, trying to show what he can do. Let's not forget he's doing pencils and inks, and he's actually writing the comic, or he's doing the full story for the comic. So that's he's doing a lot. He's doing a lot, and maybe that's why it shows. Maybe that's why it's successful, and it was successful. And again, in the end of the day, sold over 5 million copies. Was very a very exciting read. It was very much what was happening at the time. What's present in comics today is basically what got started here, especially these characters and the action and this is when Cable's telekinetic power, telekinesis, showing off telekinesis, and yeah. So overall, you know that definitely an exciting issue to look at, exciting issue to read. So you guys could probably pick this up at a pretty affordable price if you don't own one already. I happen to own four myself, so I think all in all, this shows Liefeld's strengths, which are layout, which are excitement, which are you can see his passion and his love for drawing characters. In the end of the day, he knows he has to tell a story and he has to move things along. But he loves drawing characters. He loves people in action, poses, making them look cool, and it shows. And I appreciate it. I do have to say, at one point, I was definitely part of the people that would shit talk about Rob Liefeld. Oh, he can't draw feet. Pouches everywhere. Yeah. Oh, his anatomy's so bad. Well, kind of strange now that I've come full circle on that, and he excited me as a teenager. His artwork excited me. Everything he did was I found so exciting. And all of a sudden, I did take this turn, which was a very public thing, where it was like bash Liefeld, you know, bash what he did. But when you come to look at it and you stop and look, he's very much of the time, but it's still very exciting. And let's not let's not rewrite the past as if this stuff wasn't successful. This stuff was a success. The number two most selling comic of all time. Okay, guys, in the U.S. of all time. So, congratulations to him. Hence, why he's still famous, hanging out with celebrities, and all that stuff. But I appreciate what he's done. I appreciate his work now. I appreciate what he's doing in on Snake Eyes right now. It really is exciting. It's an exciting book, and he is writing it. He is writing it, guys. So if you want to touch some of this magic again, go buy Snake Eyes Dead Game, I believe is the subtitle on that. Snake Eyes Dead Game. Issue number 4 just came out as of today, which is February 9th, 2021. You can pick them up, and I think you will be excited if you like this genre of books. I mean, if you like the cerebral kind of comics and stuff like that, I get it. This isn't going to be your cup of tea. I happen to like all types of comics, the cerebral stuff, the fast action stuff, the completely strange, out of this world. I could barely understand this stuff. I just love comics, and I love different types of stories and different types of storytelling. And big congratulations to Rob. And just if you want to read more of Rob, more of his magic, get that Snake Eyes Dead Game. Right, guys? So that's basically I would say that that concludes my review of the comic. I hope you guys liked it. I hope you guys liked the comic. And you probably have read it in the past. I'm not sure, but I present it like something that's new, something exciting. And I'm actually flipping through the comic that we can look at it and enjoy it. All right, guys. So thanks for hanging out with me. I'm so glad I was able to talk about this. Talk about comics in general. Um, the last thing I want to say is that I'm actually reading an old comic from 1994, I think. Um, Terminator versus RoboCop. It is so awesome. It is so awesome. You can probably get it at a very affordable rate. Just think about this. Written by Frank Miller, drawn by Walt Simonson. It is awesome. It is awesome. I mean, especially if you like RoboCop and if you like Terminator, imagine putting those two together. You know, to keep it simple, I don't want to give too much away, but the coolest thing about the comic is the fact that in the future, this is something within the first, few pages you'll find out. So I'm not giving away any spoilers, but they find out that RoboCop is key to Skynet. Basically, the key to Skynet taking over. So they find that out, and then that's when things go crazy. You've got Terminators, and you've got humans coming into the past, and he's kind of like, what the heck's going on? So it's pretty exciting. It's pretty exciting stuff. So I'll leave you guys at that. I feel like I've chewed your ear off for an hour. I think at this point you may want a break. Get me out of your ear holes. And thanks for hanging out with me. And as a matter of fact, if you guys have any questions or anything, I'll be happy to answer it about the comic or anything. If not, then I will be calling it a night. I hope you guys really liked it. Anything, so we'll talk real soon. You guys can catch me online. You know where to catch me. Don't forget to help me spread the word about my streams here. I stream every Tuesday. I've got a comic book in the works. Let your friends know. If you want them to know about me, I don't know. I'm not gonna judge you, but let people know what I'm up to here, and I'm just trying to have fun with this, and I really do enjoy these reviews. I get to go stroll down memory lane. We get to talk about really cool comics, really great artists, and look at old comics. So given that, I guess I'll be out. You guys have a good night. Thanks for hanging with me. You guys catch me online. You guys know that. Catch me online anytime. George Vega Art everywhere. All right, folks. A good night and goodbye. Thank you for watching my video, guys. And please remember to like and subscribe.